Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Chris of All Trades, and today I'm going to work on a vibrating concrete power screed. In about 6 weeks or so, I'm planning on pouring the concrete foundation for my cabin, and because it's a fairly decent sized pad, I want to use a power screed instead of what I normally do. Is I just have two guys on a 2x4, one on the left, one on the right, going back and forth, and then have one person in the middle pushing and pulling the concrete. But now if I have a vibrating power screed, first of all, it's going to be a lot easier to do because all you have to do is hold on to it and the engine's going to do all the work. And then I have two extra guys left over that can push and pull the concrete for me. So I think that's going to make it a lot easier. And I actually have a fairly new engine from a pressure washer, and I got it for 35 bucks on Kijiji. So I'm going to make use of that, use some 3x4 inch angle iron, aluminum, 1/4 inch thick. I think that's what I'm going to do, and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. So here's the engine. It's a Craftsman 190cc, so it's probably bigger than what I need. The shaft at the bottom is 7/8 inch, and I'm going to connect it to a 1 inch shaft at the bottom that I'm going to do the counterweights for. So what I did is I printed out 2 templates for the counterweights. I'm going to cut those up and glue them to my my 1/4 inch scrap steel that I have here, and then put it on the lathe, make it nice and round, drill some holes, and cut it up, and that should take care of the counterweights. Finished the 2 counterweights, and I just mounted them on a bolt for demonstration purposes. So right now, if I have half on each side, it's pretty much balanced, but then I can loosen the bolt and make it count like unbalanced like this, and that'll vibrate quite a bit more. So I'll show you what the difference is just putting it in a drill. I'm going to start it out with a perfectly balanced, well, almost perfectly balanced counterweight. And now I'm going to show you what it's like when it's fully unbalanced. For the bottom support, I'm going to use one of these bearings and a 1-inch shaft. I haven't completely figured out how I'm going to tie it all together, but I'll see how it goes. Okay, so I put it all together for now just to test it. So this is the counterweight, and I decided to put a bearing on one side, but then also put one on the other side, just so I have a little bit more width for the shaft to be supported on. And then this is the thing I did on the mill, so I can use a flex shaft. You can see it bends. It's from Princess Auto. I think I paid $12 for it. And if I connect that, I think it's gonna work. If I put it this way, I'm pretty happy with how much vibration that gives out, so I think I'm good to go. So here's the piece. I got it aluminum brazed, and it does not look very pretty at all, and I have no idea how strong this actually is, but unfortunately I don't have a TIG welder, so this will have to do. We'll see. I mean, really all I need is to hold these two in place while I bolt it on, so I think it's gonna work. The vibration might, you know, loosen these up, and then I might have to hire someone to TIG weld this, but I think it's gonna work. And I'm gonna drill 2 holes, and then I'm gonna be able to fasten this just like that, and then the engine will go on top here. Alright, so the bottom piece is done, and this is what it looks like. Here's the spacers in between that I brazed on before, and I used 1/2-inch bolts to make them nice and tight. So now I'm gonna put the camera back on the tripod, and I'll show you what it looks like with the cordless drill. Alright, it looks like I found another way to build this screed that doesn't work. Fortunately, my drive shaft snapped. I think what happened is the pillow block that I had in here, I had to remove one of them. I had one at the bottom and I had one at the top, but the resistance in the bearing was so much that my tiny little 28cc weed whacker engine wasn't strong enough to turn. So I removed the top one and left only the bottom one, which is fine, but because it's a pillow block, this bearing can actually twist this way and it can twist that way. So what I think happened is I had it at the bottom and the shaft that was supported by the bearing wandered over like this. And because of it, there was just way too much bend in the flexible shaft to go up to the engine that's how we ended up with this beauty right here. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these. Oh, I do have some 4-inch aluminum. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, so my plan is to take this chunk of 4-inch aluminum and create a housing for two regular bearings that I just came back from Princess Auto. Just a regular 1-inch diameter, and they are completely flat on the outside. So I'm going to stack two of those on top of each other. They're the 6205-2RS, which is a 1-inch diameter on the inside, and I think it's about 52 mil on the outside, and this I believe is 15, the width. So if I'm going to stack two on top of each other, encase it with that aluminum housing, bolt it to the bottom here with the bolts through the top, 3 of them, then I should be able to connect it back to the shaft with a new flex shaft that I again just picked up here at Princess Auto. I'm going through a lot of these. I'm gonna keep 1 or 2 spares just in case it dies on me while I'm actually doing the concrete, but that's the plan, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I'm going to try to press this bearing in. Last time I did the press was when I was trying to bend the piece of aluminum and it just snapped. So hopefully this time that's not going to happen. I have 2/1000 interference over 2 inches, which should be plenty good to press it in. And it is a steel bearing with an aluminum bushing on the outside. So I think we're good. We'll give it a try. Okay, so the first one went well. Now I'm going to put the second one on. Let's see how this one goes. Okay, so it looks like the red bar was bending a bit, so I'm going to put a little heftier piece on there. See how well this one goes. Hopefully this thing will never have to come out again. Okay, so here's the update. I finished tapping the 3 holes, and I press fit the bearings. At first I had a 2,000th interference, but then the inside race would bind up, so I ended up having to take a little sandpaper and make it to 1,000th interference. And then I turned the shaft down. This part from here to here is about 20 thousandths less than the inside, so I can just slide it in. But then from here on to down there is about 0.5 thousandths to 1,000th of an interference fit between the inside race. So this is where it's going to go, and then the flex shaft snaps in here, and that whole thing is going to get bolted under there. And so all I need to do now is locate these 3 holes, then drill the holes and put the bolts through, and then I think I'm good to go. Hopefully this is now version 4 or maybe 5, I can't remember. So anyways, this should be quite solid. The counterweights, actually they will screw in at the bottom here. Here, I'll do that real quick. And so now the advantage is that I have real good support on that side, so when it wobbles back and forth, that this shaft will never tilt like it did last time. So that's the theory anyways. We'll see how it goes. Alright, I'm just going to do a quick test on the bench top. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Alright, so this is like version number 5 that I'm going to attempt to do. And what I'm going to do is take the engine and the mount back off and toss it, because I just don't think this little 2-stroke engine is going to be strong enough. I think it's only a 26 cc, and it's really been chugging. So I'm going back over to this one here. So that's 190 cc, about 6.5 horsepower, and this is from a pressure washer. It's a horizontal shaft, and I measured the RPMs. At idle it's about 2,500, and at full throttle it's about 3,500, and this is definitely going to be strong enough. So the plan is to take the existing shaft that I have for the unbalanced weights at the bottom there, and I'm gonna probably just chop it here and put in a square head, mill a square head in there. Now I'm gonna have to make an adapter that screws into the thread at the bottom there. This is a 3/8 by 24 fine thread, and I can make an adapter right there, and then I'll have a square hole on that side, and I'll connect the two with my flex shaft. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is so that I can actually go up one size. So this is actually I'll take this off. This is a 3/8 flexible shaft, whereas the one that I had before was just a tiny little one like this. So this will give me some extra meat and some extra torque because I don't ever want to have to redo this again. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes.
Give me reasons to doubt, try to keep me down, but I'll put the flame out, you can't get to me. Throw your sticks and your stones, go break all of my bones, you won't ache my soul, you can't get to me. And there is no barricade that I can tear away. Shoot me down to fire away, away. But I'm a heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight.
Okay, so here's the piece. This is 3/8 by 24 fine thread that will go into the shaft of the engine. And then this is a square hole that will accept the flex shaft. And I think that should work. Okay, so this is where I'm at. I got the bottom piece finished right there. That's the last thing I did. And here's the top adapter, and in between is the flex shaft. So I kind of put some spacers in between. I need about 2.5 inches to lift this engine off of the platform here. And also I'm going to have some more rubber vibration isolators in between. So I'm going to need about 2.5 inches space between those. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, because I want to be able to adjust it up and down, but also left and right a little bit, so I can align the top shaft with the bottom one as good as possible. So I'll have to do some thinking, and we'll see what I'm going to end up doing with this. Alright, so I got some of these spacers, or some of the whole, they were from my shop press project. I cut them out and I just kept them. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to drill them out to 3/8 of an inch, and then I can use them as spacers underneath the engine to lift them off a little bit. The way they designed this is they have all these knobs sticking out. Here's the support. If you look, it's in the way. So if I have two of these drilled there, that should give me some clearance. The other one is over here, so you can kind of see that it will clear that bottom of the crankcase. So I'll drill them out and put them in, and then I'll go and take the measurements as to how far off I need to go off of this, and I think that should work.
Go break all of my bones, you won't ache my soul, you can't get to me. And there is no barricade that I can tear away. Shoot me down to fire away, away. But I'm a heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight.
So it turns out that my initial attempt of putting the vibration isolators this way is not going to work with the support of the engine. So what I'm going to end up having to do is put them in this way. So I have to drill 4 more holes and then have the bars across this way, and then the holes are actually oriented about here, and I think it's here and 2 here. So then I'll be able to have a cross beam that I can screw in from below, and hopefully that should work.
Push me down to the ground, what goes around comes around. You won't put the flame out, you can't get to me. Say what you wanna say, go take it all away.
Okay, so this is how far I got. I mounted, or I kind of welded the brackets on here, and put the studs in, and this nut here will allow me to adjust height wise. And then under here is a hole that I drilled oversize, and I put a washer on it so I can move it left, right, and back and forth. I got it aligned pretty well, so I think this is gonna work. I hope. Okay, so I think we're getting closer here. It looks like quite a contraption. Holy cow. So I welded the supports tied to this beam, supported by vibration isolators, which then goes to this whole thing, which is again supported by vibration isolators down here. Now I ran it and it runs really nice. It definitely shakes the bottom, that's for sure. Now also what I noticed is that where I put the handles, that still shakes quite a bit. However, up here it is really nice and smooth. So what I might actually do is rejig the handlebar clamps here, and move them up. Instead of attaching them to the middle piece, I'll attach them to the top piece. Not quite sure how to do that yet. I think I'm just going to put like some sort of an ankle bracket in here or weld it together or whatever, but I don't think that'll be a big issue. And then I can hold on to the very top, and the bottom can do its vibrating thing. So I think this is pretty good. So another thing that I noticed is that when I had it on high speed, the flexible shaft, because it was spinning so fast, it actually bent out all the way around. So what I did is I took a piece of Teflon that I had lying around and drilled a hole in here and attached it with some bolts right center. Let's see if I can show you how. Right there. So this shaft here in the center is prevented from going out any further than this. So that's maybe a 1/4 inch either way. And what you'll see bending here is really just a sleeve. The inside, the actual core is going to be a lot stronger, and that's going to rub against the Teflon and should prevent it from bending too much. So I think we're going to be okay. I did notice though that it burned a little bit of oil when I tilted it to this angle. I measured it's about 25 degrees right here, so it wants, like if I have it flush or flat, it's gonna tilt this way 25 degrees because it's a 4-stroke engine. You know, they don't like to be tilted too much because of the oil. So I noticed it was burning a little bit of oil. So what I think I might have to do is rejig those angle supports there and make them less, maybe 15 degrees or something like that. So, but in any case, we're definitely getting there. Holy cow, this has been quite the project, but I hope it will end up actually working. So, anyways, that's where I'm at. I'm going to bed. Good night.
And there is no barricade that I can tear away. Shoot me down, go fire away, away. But I'm a heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight.
Okay, so the brackets are mounted, but I have not yet welded this part, or I haven't welded this cross piece to these ones. So I tighten everything up and I align the shaft with the other bracket over there. So now I can weld these, and then I got one more step done. After that, it's the handle. I think that's it. Okay, so the handlebar is done. I can adjust it by loosening these two bolts and then flip it up and down. And the kickstand just flips right up and hooks in here. The way that I did it is I drilled a bit of an oblong hole in here, so you can see, like, you can move it back and forth because there's quite a bit of play. But I put a spring in between so I can hook it in for when I use it. And when I want to set it down, just put it down like this, and that's it. So I think this is definitely getting to the end. Now the only thing I need to make is some sort of a cage around here where I can hold it and lift it up here, because this is a little bit too, like, it doesn't really work well if I hold it here. So, but if I held it up here, then the weight would be a little bit better balanced. So yeah, I think this is gonna work. Alright, so all the parts are done and taken apart, and so now I'm getting ready to wash them and paint them, and I got my two little helpers with me today. So I'm just going to use some old paint thinner, and then for the second time around I'm going to use some clean lacquer thinner, and that should clean it all nice and clean, and then I'll prime it and paint it, put it back together, and I'm done. Okay, I am finally done, and the paint sure makes it look a lot nicer. Man, I can't believe how many different versions I had to try until I finally got one to work. So I'm going to set up the tripod and turn it on, and then I'll show you how it works.